Now we'll look at legal awareness as a conceptual shield, right? Let's discuss agency law. We considered a dictum, right? He who acts through another acts by himself. That's the law of agency. The law of agency allows, like in our case, in the case of a corporation and its employee, an employer and its employees, right? It allows one party to be able to act through another party who is deemed to be the agent, right? And we've looked at examples as when we said, hey, if you work for T-Mobile and you damage something, your company has to pay for it, except they can prove that you've done that outside the course of employment. Maybe you're on the frolic, or it's outside your duties and it's an overstep, right? But the general idea is vicarious liability, that your employer will be vicariously liable for whatever damages that you incur during the course of your employment. There is another concept that it's not on our presentation, but I want to also kind of bring it up. It's the principle of estoppel, right? Estoppel pretty much means it's under agency law. It holds a principal responsible for the actions of its agents. And remember, in laws of agency, the principal is the one giving power to the agent, right? The one who is being acted on behalf of, right? It holds the laws of estoppel holds the principal responsible for the actions of the agent, even though there isn't a clear agency agreement, right? So this, it stems from the reasoning that in some instances principals hold out certain individuals to be their agents, even though they don't strictly express or say so, right? Even though there may not be an agency agreement, for instance, like an employee employer agreement or contract, or more defined agency agreements, like when you go and get an agent to help you get a house, right? Like a real estate agent, right? But that's outside the scope of what we're talking about today. In situations where a principal has held out an individual or an entity or an agent in a manner that any reasonable person would infer that this person has to be acting on behalf of the principal, right? When that person incurs a liability, or does something, the principal would be stopped from denying that agency agreement, or denying the fact that an agency agreement exists. So that's called estoppel. Just to show you how deep the laws of agency can go. And like we've discussed personal will, right? We discussed the corporate will, and in this webinar we are going to be recommending a personal will. So just as a corporation has a will, right, and the actions of the actions of the employees are deemed to be the actions of the corporation, and the corporation itself or the employees themselves are not touched in the event of pushback or fallbacks, when there is suits or when there are fines or whatnot, when the agency or the corporation is liable. Just like that, you should create a personal will. Your personal will will be created by building a corporate avatar, right? So imagine your personal or private life, imagine it to be a castle, right? And you want to control the people that come into your castle, that move things around, that affect or challenge your personal identity or your mental health. That is why we are recommending in this webinar to build your corporate avatar.